Welcome back to the channel. It's starting to get wintry and that means that it's not great weather for doing work, but we need to start making some progress, so I think we need to get on with some more welding. Not the nicest out here, but I'm undercover, so we'll make the best of it. See what we can get done today. So just a bit of a recap, I guess, because I haven't done a bit on the Volvo for a while. Let's go and take a look inside. I'll show you what the interior's currently like. Not the best. So, looking inside, now that's a spare wiring loom, so don't worry, I haven't pulled the entire car's wiring loom out. But the seats aren't bolted in at the moment because I've obviously taken the carpet out and I've been checking for leaks, and the good news is it does look like the leak is mainly to do with the door and it leaking over and in. You can see this paper here is to try and stop the water, and you can see that there isn't a puddle down here as I'd had in the past, so that's good news for me. So the inside of here is actually pretty dry and damp free, which is how I want to keep it. So inside, not much going on, so I think the main area of focus is going to be working down here on this arch, and this is the one that I want to get right and work on. So the lens is fogging up. So what we've got down here is a bit of practice welding, because we need to put the new part of the sill in and weld this. Now that first weld hasn't worked very well, so what we're going to do, pull that off and re-weld that. So I think that's where we'll make a start on today's video. Well, sometimes things are sent to try us. This is the welder. You can see I must have ran over the plug with a chair or done something stupid in the garage, probably dropped the whole welder on it, knowing me. So I guess that's the first job, to replace the plug. It took me quite a while to actually find a spare plug that I had kicking about, because they're not easy to get hold of these days. Might sound a bit of an old story this, but when I was younger, and actually when I was a kid, sort of 12 to 18, everybody learned how to wire a plug. It was one of those things you had to do. Whenever you bought something new, it wouldn't come with a plug, and you'd end up with boxes of plugs, and you'd put your own plug on. Now, everything that comes with a plug is moulded on. You're not allowed to put your own plugs on, or we're not seen as smart enough anymore, or whatever, to put plugs on, which I think is a bit odd. I think it's an important life skill, knowing what colours do what in a plug and how to wire a plug up. So I'd be interested in knowing your view. I know it's a bit of a sideways rant regarding this, but always save the fuse. You can never have enough fuses. Actually, it's a 13 amp fuse. I didn't think it would need to be that big. But yeah, do put a comment down below if you know what I'm talking about with plugs, and actually whether most of my viewers do actually know how to wire a plug. I'd be interested to find out from people, because I think it's a dying art form. It's one of those things that, because manufacturers or whoever have determined that we shouldn't be messing about with dangerous electricity, it means a particular life skill has kind of gone away. And I think this one's an important one, because the more that you learn and the more that you educate somebody about how something works, I believe it increases the safety of it. I mean, knowing how this plug's wired means I can tell whether it's safe or dangerous. I mean, for one, putting the earth in and making sure that you've got a good earth is an important thing. And I would actually like to be able to look inside plugs sometimes, because we all know that manufacturers aren't infallible. Things go wrong in the process, all that kind of stuff. And just being able to check it yourself or do it yourself, I think is an important one. So anyway, I'll stop ranting on about plugs, get this fixed, and we'll try and get some welding done. This could turn into quite a wordy video, so I'm going to apologise now, but something that I was talking to my brother Graham. I'm not sure if I've mentioned Graham on the channel before, but my younger brother Graham did something very similar to this. He had a Fiat Uno Turbo, which was a bit of a boy racer car back in its day, but it was, with it being a Fiat, they are well known to rot to pieces, really. And he's given me a lot of advice on doing this. It's actually his welder that I've stolen, that I'm using for this. And he was saying that, because one of the problems that I've got with the weld that I've already done, let's just take you up and show you that. So, the weld that I've already done, you can see it's pretty bad. It's all over the place, and it's also not solid. So it's that one we're taking off and we're going to do again. And my brother was telling me that it's probably down to how I've prepared the metal. Now what I've been doing is I've been using a flappy disc to try and get back to plain metal, and he was saying that will take far too long, so that and wire brushing. What he was suggesting is use the cutting disc and use that as much more abrasive to get some of the metal off and get a much better weld. He also said if that doesn't work, then to potentially increase the voltage on the welder. So that's using his advice today. So thanks Graham for giving your older brother a bit more advice on doing this. It would be nice actually if Graham could be here to help me. Unfortunately he lives all the way down south in Kent, so I don't get to see him, or he doesn't get to help me with projects like this, which is really disappointing actually, because I'd like to be able to do this with his help at some point. So you never know, he may appear on a video in the future. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to get this off. So I might be lucky, I might be able to bend it out and just attack some of my welds and get that off, and then we'll have a go at re-welding it. So I'll do that and I'll show you before I start the. I've just spent quite a while trying to fit the plate in, getting the seams as close as I can along here ready for welding. Also took a while grinding away to try and get the edges clean for the weld. Now as I've probably said before, I am not a professional welder. There's bound to be tons and tons of comments about how bad this is going to be, but that's the point of this. I am learning, and hopefully that's now clamped up and tight enough that I can get a weld in place. So I'm going to get the welder and give it a go. Because I'm a bad welder, this happens quite a lot. Where the cable gets chewed up in the feed assembly, and you have to very carefully untangle it and try to sort it out so that it doesn't get jammed in the feeder. Unfortunately, this is because at the far end when I'm welding, I'm pushing the cable too much, and it's kind of stopping it from self-feeding, so that's messed up a little bit. Let me clean that out and we'll go again. Well, that was about half an hour's worth of cutting the cable from inside, pulling it all the way down from the handle, re-threading it, taking the handle apart, re-threading through the nozzle and all that. Now I don't know whether it's because this is an older welder, it's been in use a long time, it's not as great, but that seems such a faff on when it goes wrong. So I really want to be careful of that. I have turned the wire feed down a bit to try and slow it down. Unfortunately, I think the motor on this is going a bit iffy as well. If I go any lower than 5, I hear the motor struggle and it can't actually push the wire. So I think there might be a bit of a fault. So I'm starting to wonder whether this welder is actually at the end of its life. Like I said, I did borrow it off my brother. It has been around a long time. So that may be slowing me down. But I'm starting to get some welds that are holding the panel in place. So I'm going to do a little bit more, see if I can try and tack it together as best as I can, and I'll show you what I've got. Well, you can hear I still haven't quite got the welding right, but, and it does look very splattery, but it's actually holding, and that's actually the best bit of welding I think I've done so far. Nice and solid, a little bit of grinding to finish it off, and I think that's that bit good. So what I might do now is look at getting a plate for the base piece. Next piece, so using the time-honoured tradition of using bits of cardboard. What I've done, try and get you in a decent place, I've made this piece of template here. Tell you what, let's attach the microphone like that. So that's going along the bottom, and that curves up and round. Curving it's going to be tricky, but basically that's that square there, so I'm going to cut that square out, and then we're going to have to try and form it and position it in place for the next bit of weld. I'm going to cut this out with the angle grinder, because that seems like the easiest way of doing it. Bit of angle grinding, watch which way it's turning so that it's away from me. Got the guard on as well. Go up that way, then across there. We should have that piece of metal out. There we go, a bit of using the angle grinder, and that's the area prepared. You can see I've got rid of the coating. I've shined it up so it's nice clean metal along there, so hopefully that's going to take the weld quite nicely once I put the panel piece in. There we go then. So I've used the grinder. I've smoothed down the welds a little bit. They're pretty rough, to be honest, but I think with a bit of sanding and just kind of using a bit of filler to blend them in, I think they're workable. I think that's as good as I'm going for, really. I'm going for workable, and it gives me a good panel piece so I can then take a look at doing the arch, because the arch is one large piece to hold in place, so logistically it's going to be tricky. This bit I think was one of the hardest parts, so I'm quite pleased that I've got some decent progress there, I think. There we go. So you can see I've got the Scandex panel clamped into place. I'll try and take you across and show you the other side, like that. So you can see it marries up with the new piece I've got down here. You can see what I've done is I've cut a little bit away. The idea is that I'm going to cut it along like this, probably just straight along like that, and weld it up against it. So that's the job for the next day, because it's starting to get rather cold. Unfortunately, we're getting near winter and I am working outside. So that's as far as we're going to get for today. I think that is quite a good welding video. Well, maybe the welds aren't that good, but you get the impression of what I'm doing and how far I'm getting. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been a long time coming, but I feel like we're getting some real progress. Don't forget, this is the main key part to getting the Volvo up and running, getting this this part all welded up and repaired. So there we go, that's the end of another video. Thank you so much for watching. Do remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Put a comment and a like down below. Really does encourage me to do lots more, and hopefully we'll get a bit more momentum. We'll get some more videos going, but otherwise I'll see you in the next video.